Hello, everyone. Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be talking about the two-episode premiere of My Adventures with Superman Season 2. This show is finally back, and I'm very excited. So, we got a two-episode premiere. These air on Adult Swim at midnight, I believe, the day prior, and then they come out on Sundays on Max. I've been watching them on Max, so expect me. I don't think I'll be talking about the rest of the season until it's done, like on a weekly basis, unless you guys really want me to. So let me know in the comments. But we're definitely want to talk about the premiere because I love this show. This show came out. The first season came out during the actors' strike, so obviously there was not a lot of promotion and a lot of talking about this from the people that are actually working on the show. So I'm very excited to see them talk more about this. I think that the cast is amazing, and they do such a good job with the voices. Also, I really love that they are just taking some of the more interesting parts of the Superman mythology and everything else. They're just kind of like making new things up. I don't know that any of the story beats that we're getting are like exactly pulled from any specific run from the comic books. So, really interesting to kind of dive into this world. Like, knowing but really not knowing, right? Like, I know the character of Superman, I think, pretty well. And I think the archetype is there. The major factors, like the main things that make up Superman, the DNA is at the heart of the show. uh, but overall, the story, everything kind of feels fresh and different, and I appreciate that. So we got episode one, More Things in Heaven and Earth. In this episode, Clark agonizes over what to do with Lois's first Valentine's Day. We also see visions of his father that lead Clark, Jimmy, and Lois to the remains of the spaceship in Antarctica, or yeah, in the North Pole. We also see a new villains with Task Force X. So interesting stuff. We got a lot of pretty cool revelations there in the ship. I think the way that this show utilizes the technology from Krypton and all everything that happened, right? The invasion angle. They've changed a few things about the destruction of Krypton and why they're not around, but I think it kind of makes sense. They portrayed Kryptonians as this more like war hungry people overall, but we do get a really nice surprise that maybe we'll see at the later on in the season. Of course, Task Force X has now been taken by Waller, and she's got her own people working on everything. So, what's going to happen with Major Lane or General Lane? And then, of course, how will Lois feel about all that? In the meanwhile, we still get all those really nice comedic beats of like, oh shit, it's Valentine's Day, and Clark's date ideas suck. I think the surrounding cast, the Daily Planet especially, um, they make up what's really fun about the show. Like that, these are just young people that are trying to do a job while still dealing with all these like world-threatening stuff, right? And then also the mission that Clark continues to try to find himself, find out who he really is, and deal with like, am I human? Am I, or like how he's not human, but he feels like he belongs to this Earth, but also he knows that he comes from another civilization and his kind of duty and obligations to that. So, really interesting to kind of see Clark deal with that, and of course, Task Force X just like really, really like ruthless. Amanda Waller, ruthless here. So, next we have the second episode, Adventures with My Girlfriend. In this episode, Perry saddles Jimmy with a new team to run Flamebird. So at the end of the last season, Jimmy kind of got Flamebird got bought out, which was his YouTube channel. Got bought out by the Daily Planet, so now he runs that over there. And then Clark and Lois investigate the Striker Penitentiary and discover just how far Amanda Waller will go to rid the world of Superman. Yeah, Amanda Waller in this, like, she's as ruthless as I've ever seen her, and it's very interesting. She really has no time and will stop at nothing, including jailing her own, former ally in General Lane. So he's not in charge of anything anymore. He's now a prisoner as well. And Lois wants to break him out. And that's really the big thing that happens here. Across that, they stumble onto this whole conspiracy that people are disappearing from this prison. What's going on? And of course, Task Force X is involved in all that. We get to see some old villains. We get to see some new villains. I think it's really funny because Chris Parnell voices Deathstroke. or Agent Slade, as he's known in the show. His voice sometimes really just sounds like Chris Parnell, and I just hear Jerry from Rick and Morty, and sometimes it just really feels like a definitely new take on Deathstroke. So that was an interesting voice casting choice, I think. Also, Amanda Waller, as I mentioned, like this episode is really big about her and her relationship and with General Lane and the reasons that she's doing everything that she's doing. So I love to see backstory of her motivations because if you're gonna do all this terrible shit, you have to have like she's not just a bad person because of she's a villain. She's a bad person because she thinks she's doing the right thing, and I think that makes it more interesting. Um, Once again, we get some really great animation, really cool stuff. I didn't run into anything. I think the character designs are a lot of fun. They are very much heavily manga inspired, I would say. Heavily like the whole show is very heavily, inspired at least by anime and some of the tropes that go there, which I appreciate as somebody that watches a lot of anime. So I feel like they're taking some of the fun things about anime and just dropping them into more Western animation style. So that I love that kind of stuff. So yeah, these two episodes kicked off the season just for on a great foot, and I can't wait to see where we go from here. There's a lot of mysteries that are being set up. We also have always miscommunication between Superman and Lois because they each have their own problems going on. But I think the fact that they can reconcile a lot of those things, that's what makes them work as a unit. So I also appreciate that. So yeah, I don't know where we're gonna go from here, but I can't wait to see what happens next. I'm really enjoying the show. So I don't think, like I said, I don't think we'll be doing weekly reviews for that. Weekly reviews really, like there's only so many things we can cover in the channel, but if you guys like these reviews and you leave some comments, then I'll do whatever I can. Also, you can show that support on Patreon or on Ko-fi. Links will be in the description for that. That just really helps to keep the channel running. So as always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye.